I am joined live in the studio by the puppet master himself, Mr. Blake Inscore, Mayor, Crescent City. How you doing, Blake?
Hey, I'm doing great. Wonderful Friday. Good to see you.
And you just busted me up before we went on the... I do want to get that joke in. So we were talking about the difference between the culture of the county and what happens with county government and the city and what happens with city government. You said there was one key difference.
Well, there's one key difference. If you just ask around, you'll find out that the city has a king and the county has a chair, and kings sit in chairs and chairs are chairs, and so
good point.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I've been told that I'm the king of Crescent City. So at least in my own mind.
Do you have a different seat that you bring out for your?
Absolutely, I check those chairs up to the dais. I have a special one that we roll out from the back.
Do you lower everybody else's a couple of clicks?
I do. I lower everybody else's chair. You can ask. You can even ask Supervisor Cowan about that because she gives me a hard time. She goes, "I always know where you sat because your chair is so much higher than everybody else's." I'm like, well, it's just one of those things. Yeah, it's good to be able to laugh about this stuff because if you're not able to, you probably don't have any business in politics. Because there's constantly this
you never
stuff
hear that. You don't hear humor being extolled as a virtue for political involvement.
Well, that's part of my way of dealing with it. If I took everything seriously, I mean, I take what I do seriously. But if I took every comment, every criticism, every compliment seriously,
there you go. That's a good thing.
Then I would probably don't belong here. But I do try to look at this stuff and process. And sometimes you just got to laugh. Because if you don't, you're going to get eaten alive even in a small town like this.
Is it sort of the other side of having a thick skin? Can humor give you the same sort of protection?
That's my thick skin.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is. Yeah. And not all of that is just deflecting. Some of that is I find some of it actually very, very funny.
Now, is that why I don't see... I mean, there are people that it seems like folks out there who want to make a lot of noise go after. Lori Cowan, they go after. Yeah. Heidi, they've gone after.
Yeah.
And I never come across the Linda Sutter diatribe about you.
Well, she's had her times where she's taken aim at me. I think she had some real concerns and took some pretty good shots at me over the Japan issue and the sister city and the spending of public funds for that. And
what were her concerns that you would liken to good?
I think she was concerned that we were spending public funds on something that didn't directly benefit our community. And I argue that I do believe it benefits our community, even if we can't put a one-to-one correlation that says, okay, we went there, we spent $12,000. Okay, I can prove $12,000 of economic development.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I have believed all along. I mean, I've been there 3 times, once on our dime, twice on Rika's and Takada's dime, and in the process of that, on several of my dimes, to supplement that to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that even if I can't prove all the economic aspects, if I can't show that we're going to have 4 action points for our emergency services plan, if we have done something about building a relationship with a city that was completely destroyed, who established this connection because of this little fishing boat here. Yeah. And we've simply done something that is extraordinarily kind. Isn't that a good thing?
Worth the $12,000?
In my opinion, absolutely, because it causes us to look beyond ourselves. And that's a real problem. When you're in an isolated community, you look within. You're constantly looking at your own problems, your own issues, and they're real, and we need to deal with them. But every now and then, we need some perspective. We need to look out beyond ourselves and see that, hey, there's a whole world out there, and there's a lot of people who have needs. There's a lot of people who are hurting, and frankly, there's people who are hurting worse than we are. And all Rika's and Taka has ever asked for is that we build a relationship. Wow. They not ask us to give them money. They not ask us to do anything other than to establish a relationship because they believe that this extraordinary act of kindness and taking that kamome, that boat, and getting it back to them, they feel that there is this bond between our communities, and they want it to build. And so $12,000 out of a $20 million budget.
And $12,000 that was already earmarked for travel expenses.
And we had not spent it.
Yeah.
It was June.
Oh, and you'd still have left.
And so that travel budget money was going to end in June, and it doesn't carry over. We don't roll those kind of things over.
Wow.
So the money was available. It had not been spent. And so we didn't tap into reserves. We didn't tap into some program. We didn't take any money away from something else.
There aren't potholes going unfilled on On
and so I mean, and unlike some, I suppose, maybe because I didn't take it as a personal affront, I listened to what Linda has to say. And to Linda's credit, she came back a couple meetings ago when we were talking about some of the things that were going on, and she was very appreciative and very supportive of stuff that's going on in the city.
Good.
And you know what? I don't think people see both sides. Because they aren't willing to listen to both sides. Do I like it when people are hammering on stuff that they don't like? No. And the stuff that I think has validity, I need to look at, and the stuff that doesn't, I've got to be able to let that go and do what I believe I've been tasked to do.
Sure.
And laugh a little bit.
And laugh a little bit about it, exactly. Let's talk about the last trip, because it seemed like it was different from previous trips.
Yeah. We had a broad representation of people. We had Bill Stephen go, not just representing the sheriff's department, but his son was a part of this whole key students that began the whole thing with the boat. So he'd been there since the beginning of this relationship in 2013. Our new city manager, Eric Weir, went. Our finance director, Linda Lever, went, which is sort of gives some credence to the fact that we're really watching what we're doing with the money, because
they're the people who are
Linda is really good about that. She's fantastic of making sure that we are spending our money appropriately. And so having her go and see this, and is this a good use of our resources, I think was excellent. Chris Howard from Board of Supervisors went. Who else went with us? There were 16. Heather Snow, Director of Health and Human Services.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, good.
Went. Robin Parker from the school district. Colleen Parker from the school district. Darren Short went. His wife, Annette, went with us. She's also an educator. So there's, and I took my wife with me, which I paid for, but I wanted her to see what I had spent so much time, in my extra time, which it's sometimes hard to find. Why had I gone twice? Why was I always talking about this? Why was this so important? I wanted her to be able to experience that. Charlie Helms from the Harbor went. Was very engaged with not only their fishermen's associations, but also looking at what they've done in the area of vertical evacuation, because he's got this wonderful dream of this vertical evacuation center down at the harbor. It was on the front page of the paper yesterday. Yeah. And so he was asking them about, how did you guys do things like this? What are some of the key things of buildings that withstood this 15-meter tsunami? What was a key component in the buildings that survived? I mean, so there was just it was really a lot more about looking at next steps, looking at what can we learn, what are some of the takebacks that we can start thinking about, what do we do with all this information? Is it just a wonderful international friendship, or are there things we can learn? We talked aquaculture. We saw how they do their abalone farming. Starting on land and then taking offshore. We saw their oyster operations. We actually made an attempt to go out and how they did actually net fishing out in the ocean. We were out in a boat in 10 to 12 foot swells.
How big a boat?
It was probably a 30-foot boat. And the Japanese fishermen, as much as they really wanted to show us this, they made a determination, we've got to go back.
Oh, no.
We know the Americans want to see this, but this is not safe.
Oh, wow.
And there was no complaining about going back, and no one got seasick. So
okay, wow.
It was a lot more of a working trip. We had an actual disaster exercise where we walked through a nearshore event here, what it might look like, and what of the group that were gathered there, what we would do. You got to answer this question right now. It's happening. You don't get to think. There's no sidebars here on what are we going to do. Let's. You got to take action right now. Samantha Fuller, a high school student, just graduated. She was with. I think that was just overwhelming. Just like, oh my gosh.
Like that's the immediacy of an event like that. When you're faced with
Lisa Howard, Chris's wife, was there. She's also an educator, talking about how do we respond as a school. This is happening right now. We've got kids. It was a powerful experience and a little unsettling.
Yeah. What were the takeaways from a situation like that with the city, as far as with the drills that we have? What was the difference in the experiences for you?
Well, I think that not so much the differences, but just awareness that while we have done an absolute fantastic job with emergency services and disaster preparedness, Cindy Henderson, her team, they just rock. I mean, that's all there is to it. Everybody that comes in here and looks at our plans and what we have done, they say there's no one on the West Coast that's any more prepared than we are.
Wow.
With that said, we still have got to translate that level of preparedness, in my opinion, to every single person in Del Norte County. And specifically because of the proximity to the ocean, everybody in Crescent City proper. That downtown, that's the danger zone. Yeah. We've got to get that message to these people. We've got to take all the work that's been done, and we've got to find ways to get people to embrace it. And so that awareness that says that some of us need to step up to the plate. We need to come alongside Cindy. We need to figure out how do we get these things out to people. You can't be completely prepared for a nearshore Cascadia event. You got 10, 15 minutes. But what we can do is tell people, here's the basic thing. When the ground starts shaking and it doesn't stop, when it does, get to high ground.
Yeah.
You don't think about it. You just got to go. You don't go looking for anybody, because in that scenario, you probably have 10 or 15 minutes to get to high ground.
Yeah. I had Mary Dorman on a few months back, and I was talking about this keeps me awake at night, because I think from the 64 run up, we're just out of that.
Right. Yeah, this whole Elk Valley estuary all the way through here. It's a lowlands through here. So I guess my takeaway is having seen a community completely destroyed, that awareness that it can and likely will happen here. How do we take what we have learned already here? How do we take the energy that some of us got there, merge those things, and do the very best that we can to serve our community? I mean, we have absolutely fantastic resources of people here who know more about this than. That's that old expression, they've forgotten more about this than I'll ever know. And that's probably true with Cindy. She's probably forgotten more little details about disaster preparedness than I will ever know in my lifetime. But we've got to figure out a way for us to work together to be able to make sure that we're preparing every single man, woman, boy, girl. They got to all know. A child needs to know.
I think, at least from experiences with the past, there was when was that? There was a warning, maybe 15 years ago. That wasn't anything. This was before the 2011 event. It just seems like what my experience here in Crescent City proper is that everybody that at least I ran into in those two events, they have internalized that. They understand where we are. At the time, at the first warning, I was out in the Birch Tract, and there was a neighbor who came out. Something popped up on the TV. I remember we were watching, it was like the finals or something, NBA. It was May, June. And something pops up on the TV, and these people are coming out. They come out of their house, and they start going door to door. And, hey, have you seen? Have you seen? We got to go. We got to get out of here. And everybody in the neighborhood, we went up over Howland Hill and up on 99 that way. And it was very orderly and kind of surprising, because here's just a Del Norte citizen out here. And no, they know what to do. They know the dangers. They know the immediacy of a situation like that. And I don't think that's... I think most people are like that. I don't know. Am I assuming? Am I making an assumption there? Being as our history here?
Yeah, I would like to believe that the majority have that. I don't want to bank on that.
No, you shouldn't rely. That's a good point.
And when you look at it, for all reality, we're now 7 years past that last event. How long are our memories? How short are our memories? How many people live here today that weren't here in 2011? How many people have only heard stories but have never experienced an actual evacuation drill, which we were looking at sometime in the not too distant future of another evacuation drill about a downtown. I think they did that in 2010, something like that. I just think that we've got to keep it in front of people. And it's not just tsunami. I mean, look at the wildfires going on around us. Yeah. And when you think about wildfires, I mean, you realize that we're surrounded by forest. We think that we're right up against the ocean, so we're fine. Look at our major housing developments and proximity to forests.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I mean, everything north of that Washington Park area, it's all forest. We have that entire corridor that runs between Washington Boulevard all the way down through to Cooper. There's a whole forest that runs through there.
Sure,
and there's houses on either side of it, and so you get a fire going through there, and depending on which way the wind blows. I mean, we just need to understand and accept, again, until every single individual in Delaware County is signed up on Everbridge on preparedelnorte.com.
There you go.
Until every single person has got their home phone and their cell phone, and they're getting texts as well as calls, and everybody in the family's got their phone on it, then we're not done.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, we should do something. We should get like a PSA running all the time here.
I think that'd be a great idea.
We had a meeting in here the last drill we had, which was like 3 months ago, something like that. I was actually sitting right here, and we had a meeting, and there were people from KHSU and Humboldt and the Wild Rivers Foundation. We had Humboldt and Del Norte people all right here, and big event happens, and I'm going, and all the Humboldt people got their texts first. And I was like, what? And then, but it was like 30 seconds later, then the Del Norte system was there too. I got a call here, I got a text on the phone, and everybody around. It was interesting to see it in action like that, and to see it because right here in this room, we were seeing an entire region's preparedness kind of come to fruition with everybody's phones.
And that's the side that we have, and we've got it going. I mean, we've got it going good. Now, the other side is, how do we make sure that everybody is on board with that? Every citizen, every tourist. Do you know what? If listen, when you in Japan, you go into a public restroom in a bathroom, there's going to be an evacuation map.
Wow.
You may be looking at that while you're standing at a urinal or in the back of a stall. Why? Well, because these people get it.
Yeah.
Do we provide that level of information to people who are visiting here?
Nope.
And I don't want to be this reactionary guy or this doom and gloom guy and scare every tourist. It's like, oh, I don't know if I want to come here. Look, they got tsunami evacuation maps. I also don't want to be the guy that says, we didn't really think that looked good, so we didn't put it up. And now we lost 20 tourists in this event that maybe we wouldn't have if we had simply decided, human life is worth more than imagery.
Yeah. And ultimately, I don't know. I mean, when you stop in like a rest area driving across country and you're someplace in the on the plains, and you stop at just a rest area and they've got the Weather Channel up on the...
There you go.
That's like, that doesn't scare me away. That makes me glad. Okay, people are paying attention here,
So I think that we need to capitalize on the great resources we have, especially people resources, and then those of us who are in positions of policy making and who, in essence, control the purse strings, need to make sure that we're allocating funding for that. We've got to find it. We've got to carve out the funding to make sure that we are providing that level of concern for our constituents. And no, it doesn't fix potholes on Front Street. I get it.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to feel safe. And I think I do agree with you. The people who've lived here, they know that potential is here, and it's always here. So I think that they'll appreciate that. And there's federal money and there's state money to be able to be had for those kind of things. And we've done a really good job of securing some of those funds too. But it may mean that we've got to carve some money out of our budgets to do some of these things.
One of the things that fixes potholes are community development block grants.
It is.
And so with the $5 million that you didn't think you were going to get and then all of a sudden city got, what are you guys doing with it?
So we've got some services that are going to be provided, but the big ticket item is over $4 million towards a drainage project that in Front Street. So every year when the rains hit, up and around 4th and 5th and C, the storm drains back up. It simply can't, because this whole system is connected and has to flow together. Same reason that you have all the backup in downtown around the old Daly's building. And there's just too much water in these 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old drain pipes. So the storm drain project is going to allocate 2 new outflows, which will mean digging up Front Street because it's going to connect all over to B. It's going to come all the way up to G.
I've always gotten the feeling that Front Street was a can of worms. That
it is a can of worms.
People did not want to open.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And now, by looking at this from the standpoint of being awarded this $4 million to fix the storm drain system, and by fixing it from G towards the ocean, then it will relieve the pressure off of downtown. Which hopefully it's going to alleviate most of that flooding that we have in the big storms like we saw in 2016 downtown. But to do that, you got to tear this thing all up to run these storm drains through here. And when you tear up the whole street, what do you have to do? You have to rebuild it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so at least from G to B, to where you come past the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah.
So that end of Front Street is going to all get rebuilt.
Wow.
It's huge. I mean, it's not everything, but it's a huge start. And some of this is going to be, will it be a can of worms? Probably.
Well, my understanding is under Front Street, you've got the history of Front Street.
You do.
And so that's stuff from the tsunami. That's going back to what was there originally.
You've got redwood logs.
Got redwood logs, basically. Exactly.
And
yeah.
Are we going to be able to get everything from G to B completely done with the new storm drains and stay under budget? I have no idea whether or not that will happen. I believe that it will. I want to believe that it will. If it runs over budget, I'm hoping that it's within that industry standard of 15%, because I'm not sure where we're going to get the money otherwise. But it's a huge start, and it's a huge win for this community. It speaks to the quality of our staff who work so hard at submitting these grants. I mean, the city has an amazing track record with obtaining CBDG funding. I mean, which was why it was so hard that we didn't think we got it.
Oh, that's.
I mean, there was this whole dynamic. It's like, how could we have missed this? We worked so hard. We've dotted every I, crossed every T, and there was just this sort of energy that was lost. It's like, well, gosh, we just really believe that we did the best that we could.
Wow.
And so,
how long did you have to sit with that? You get the no letter, and you're like,
it was CBDG actually put out an initial award notification, and we weren't on it.
Ooh.
And so then we start calling, and it's like, oh, well, no, that's not final. And so then it comes down off the website.
Oh, wow.
And so then a month goes by, and then 2 months go by, and now there's this acceptance. Well, it's final for us. We didn't get it. It's kind of funny. A couple 3 weeks ago, the day we found out about it, I play on the co-ed softball team with Eric Weir. So Mr. Weir shows up. He says, hey, Blake, we got the CBDG award. And I said, yeah, right. And he goes, no, really, we got it. And I said, don't mess with me. And I turned around and walked off. Here's this guy, young guy, our new city manager, hometown boy. He's so proud of it. And the mayor just blows him off and walks off.
It's the last time
all of a sudden I hear from behind
news.
me, he goes, I'm serious. And I turned around and I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's serious. And there was just sort of this moment that's like, wow.
Oh, man.
And, it's good to be a part of stuff like that. Mm-hmm. When you look at it, because that who really wins is the community. Mm-hmm. Does our staff take pride in it? Do they feel like, hey, we accomplished something? Absolutely. And I hope that they keep that.
Yeah.
But the real winner is the community. Mm-hmm. On top of that, we've submitted a build grant, better utilizing investments to leverage development.
Oh my God. Who came up with that?
I don't know. It used to be called Tiger. Don't ask me what that is. Transportation infrastructure, something. Anyway, so this comes out in April. Mm-hmm. At the point in time where we're thinking we're not getting CBDG, and it comes out in April, notice about it. And so I go to City Hall and I say, hey, we need to apply for this. And Mr. Weir looks at me and he goes, I don't think we can do that. The time frame, it has to be done by August 1st. It's already third week of April. And I said, well, yeah, it was only released April 18th. It's only April 19th. You should be all over this. And he just looks at me and they humor me about this kind of stuff. And I knew that, the chances of getting that done by August 1st, it's like, well, I don't know that we can do that. 2 days later, I kid you not, 2 days later, Elk Valley Rancheria calls Mr. Weir and says, have you heard about the build grant? We'd like to do a joint grant application. Do you have a project that you'd like to do? And Mr. Weir said, matter of fact, we do. What about Front Street? So talk about partnerships. Not only did Elk Valley become a partner, but they took the lead in writing the grant so we could get it done in a timely manner. And we have about a $12.5 million build grant that's been submitted. And if, in fact, we get it, and they say that a lot of times you don't get these first time around, but if we get it, we'll be able to rebuild all of Front Street.
Well, having a track record for getting grant funds and spending them, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
And so when will we know?
We may not know until later this year. Yeah.
Wow, but still,
that's... Yeah.
And that's so $12 million, that's enough for all of Front Street?
That'll get it done.
Wow.
With what's already going to be done with the CBDG. The $12.5 million should be able to get the rest of it done with all the pedestrian improvements, parking, everything.
Why did Elk Valley do that?
I think because they have realized that the value of partnerships. Mm-hmm. We had a great partnership a couple of years ago with the downtown fire hall.
Yeah.
Indian Community Block Development Grant. They were able to apply for that. So when we got money initially to do that, it was just for the seismic retrofit of that building. Mm-hmm. Elk Valley came alongside, applied for this ICBDG grant, and we were able to bring that building up from a modernization standpoint, not just seismically, but remodel the entire building, and we got a brand new fire engine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, $400,000 fire engine. I remember that.
That's partnerships.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's cool.
And those are the things that sometimes nobody sees.
Yeah.
It makes the paper, but then we forget about it. And the value of building partnerships, city to Elk Valley, the city, the county, all those things. I mean, the bottom line is, and I've said this ever since I got elected, we can do so much more together than any of us can do apart. Mm-hmm. And I think that I've seen a lot of that in the 4 years that I've been in office, and I'm pretty proud of our community for being able to do that. So,
is this an election year for you?
It is an election year for me.
How's that? What's happening with that?
Well, I pulled and filed my papers. Mm-hmm. I think the due date is today. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that will be extended or not. I don't know if the extension happens if both the incumbents don't file or if one files. I know that there's some code thing that says if the incumbents don't file, then it's extended for a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I know the original date was today. I know that there's been some other people who have pulled papers. I do not know as of today whether or not anybody else has turned anything in.
Wow. Okay.
Other than me.
Other than you?
Other than me. I'm hoping that I get the opportunity to serve our community for another 4 years.
What's your feeling about a campaign coming up? Are you looking forward to that?
No,
Is it a chance to engage?
I don't campaign.
You're just
I'm not
nothing.
Gonna
You're just going to keep. You're going to keep
I'm
being you.
I'm going to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
If people ask me to come and talk about what I believe in, what my values are, what my priorities are for the city,
Mm-hmm.
I will be there. But if somebody asked me to come by their house, I would do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to go out and knock on doors.
You're not going to raise money, have
I'm
functions.
not going to raise any
that.
money.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody comes to me with a bucket load of cash, I probably will say, let's find something else to do with that. It's just sort of not. It's just not me. It's not. I suppose if
Did you?
this was
How much running did you do the first time?
None.
Yeah, none. Okay,
No.
I think we had you on KFUG.
Yeah,
we did that sort of stuff. But
no,
that was it.
That's. I don't know. That's hard for me.
Yeah.
I am who I am, and I think some people appreciate that, even if they don't always agree with me, because they know that what you see is what you get. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of pretense with Blake. He's going to say stuff.
I
His
wonder what
mouth's
he's
going to get in
thinking.
front of him sometimes, and that happens. And is that a strength or is it a weakness? The answer is probably yes. Right?
I just thought it was great. Talking about what you're talking about, and then you ask yourself a question, and then you answer it.
Yeah, that's me. And sometimes I lead with my heart instead of with my head. And if that ever becomes such a liability that I can't govern effectively, then I hope somebody can take me aside and say, "Hey,
situation's not fitting."
You're just doing this." From feelings, you need to think. I don't think that will be the case. There are things that I get passionate about, and I get excited, and sometimes I get ahead of myself, and I have to step back and go, okay, well,
what are the things that get you most passionate about being on the city council?
I really value our staff and the people that work for us, and the people that I've gotten to interact with and see their desire to be a part of something bigger than any one person. I get excited about being able to see progress and things happen and feel like, hey, I had a part in that. I started out as a planning commissioner back in 2009, 8 or 9 or 10. I can't remember now. It's been too long. And so, there was that part of you that you saw projects come, and then once they left you, they went on to staff or the city council or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, we approved it, and then you just didn't think too much about it. I think back to even the beachfront park master plan. We were a big part of that. But then, to come at it from a council member standpoint, who's got to authorize this, who's got to budget these things, has got to say, we're going to do this, and to see things get done.
I guess being where you are now, that's sort of the nexus where these abstract sort of ideas and approvals and plans become reality.
They are reality.
Yeah.
And it's also the things that frustrate me. And you can ask our staff. I mean, they know that I get frustrated because I want to see things happen. And as big a pragmatist as I am about life, there are times where I want to see big things happen, and I want to see it happen now.
Oh, no.
And I know that it can't happen now.
Yeah.
But if somebody doesn't keep talking about it, then it may never happen.
And things can get lost in that sort of glacial movement.
And while I'm not going to take credit for the build thing, because obviously Elk Valley is the key partner in that.
Yeah.
But there's some crazy dynamic that I would feel compelled that I got to bring this to. At the time, Eric Weir was our interim city manager and said, I think we should be doing this. I think we should be doing this. And then 2 days later, he gets a call. Well, he was already prepped in his mind to say, we can do this. And all of a sudden, a partner comes up and says, hey, let us help you. I mean, that's about partnerships. And I get excited about that. Do I take credit for that? Absolutely not. Because I'm not writing the grant.
Yeah.
But I saw it as a possibility, and then somebody else said, and you're right, it could be a possibility, and this is how we do it. And, I get to say, go for it.
Right on. That's cool.
It is.
All right. So This summer, the trip, let's talk about, it's the personal stuff, the trip you took with your wife. I absolutely loved seeing your updates and status things on Facebook. I thought it was just a wonderful little photo essay that I loved watching. That was a beautiful trip.
We had a wonderful time. My wife had back surgery in back-to-back years.
Ouch.
So it was her second and third back surgeries in the 2 previous years. And so we had not done a lot of traveling. Mm-hmm. And so we started thinking about this. My niece graduated with her doctorate in physical therapy from the University of New England, which is in Portland, Maine.
Oh, cool.
So we knew that she was going to be graduating. So we'd started prepping this idea, can we make this trip? Mm-hmm. Are we able to make this trip? And we got to the point where my wife, Lene, was doing really well. And we thought, okay, we're not only going to make the trip, but we're going to do something we've never done. We're going to take a 2-week vacation, which we had never done.
Wow.
And we're going to see some things that we have never seen. We're going to do a couple things that we have done before, because before her second back surgery 2 years ago, I had a nephew who got married in New York. They got married at the city clerk's office in Manhattan.
Cool.
It was pretty cool.
That's right.
So
right down Lower Manhattan City Hall.
Yeah, we went
right
back
down
there for a couple of days, and we got to go to a couple of shows, and it was a short trip, but we'd never been to New York City. So anyway, we start planning out this trip. Well, we're going to see some things. So, we got to see Portland Head Lighthouse. First lighthouse commissioned by a United States president. Wow. George Washington commissions this lighthouse. Mm-hmm. So you get to go up there and,
before it was even Maine.
Before it was even, and I'm such a sap. I want to go up there and hug this lighthouse. It's like, George Washington said that you shall be built, and I got to hug you. And,
I want to see the grant.
Yeah, exactly. So we started plotting out the things that we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So we were in Maine for 3 days. Had my first lobster roll. I'd never had a lobster roll. See it on the Food Network. Mm-hmm. So I've got to have a lobster roll. Okay. It was amazing.
And a Maine lobster roll,
a Maine lobster roll at that. We went back to Boston, got an Airbnb, stayed in an apartment a block from the Old North Church.
Wow.
Never been in an Airbnb, wasn't sure how this was all going to play out.
And you got Paul Revere's.
and so we're right there. We walked, we did the Freedom Trail.
Wow.
We were in Boston for 2 days. We did all our transportation either by Uber or Amtrak.
Oh, yeah, Amtrak's cool.
Yeah. Amtrak's not as cool as Uber, but it's cool.
I like Amtrak a bunch.
Amtrak was good for us. So here we are. We get an Uber. We go to the South Station in Boston, and we get on the Amtrak. We go to New York City. Mm-hmm. We go to New York City. We have only one thing in mind in New York City, because we were there 2 years ago and we saw the Statue of Liberty, and we went to the 9/11 memorial and did all those things. So two things we want to do. We're going to walk the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to shows.
Shows, exactly. I remember seeing both those things.
And my wife said, I want to go see Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, wow.
I said, well, if we're going to see Phantom of the Opera, then we're going to see Phantom of the Opera. So we got seats dead center, second row.
Oh, my God. Did the chandelier fall on you guys?
The chandelier. Fortunately, I got on these review sites where they have these cool things that says from your seat. So you can look at your tickets, and people have gone and take pictures from where they sat.
Wow.
So I knew what it was going to look like from where we were going to sit, and I looked at all these different things, and I'm sitting in the front. What the heck?
Yeah.
I don't care what it costs. And the person mentioned, be sure and look up. Holy cow. That thing just comes right there.
How close does it get?
Probably within 10 feet.
Wow. Okay.
Which is close.
Yeah.
Sitting in the second row, honestly, one of the most amazing things is, and obviously today, technology with sound and everything else, it's completely different than the way Broadway would have been 50 years ago.
Yeah.
When you sit in the second row, you get to hear the maestro tap on his music stand. You get to actually hear the performers' voices, because when they come all the way downstage, you can actually hear them.
Wow, yeah.
Because the speakers are way outside of you and being right there, so you're actually hearing these people's voice, not mixed in a soundboard.
Not amplified, not sound mixed. Yeah, exactly.
It was amazing.
That's great.
Amazing. So then we come out of that, in the afternoon, because we had a 2:00 showing, and we went down and we looking for tickets, and we had asked the concierge at the hotel, what do you think? He goes, well, one of the things that's they've got a revival of Hello Dolly going right now, and Bernadette Peters is playing Dolly.
Oh, no.
So we got tickets.
I had such a crush on
Hello
her
Dolly.
when I was a kid.
Oh my
gosh.
What an amazing show.
Wow.
For me, way better than Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah,
No offense to Phantom of the Opera fans, but Hello Dolly was absolutely we had great seats. We were like in the 10th row.
Wow. So you did 2 shows one day?
2 shows one day.
That's beautiful.
The next day, we didn't eat in a restaurant in New York. We ate off of food trucks and little pizza places and took slices.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Then we went to an off-Broadway show the next day. I'm trying to think of what it was called. I can't think of it right now. It's a story of 4 high school girls who sing in a quartet, and they're singing at prom, and they're little drama stories, typical high school girl stuff. Yeah. And they do all music from the 50s in the first act, and then they come back for the 10-year high school reunion.
Wow.
And they do all music from the 60s. It was amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, and this is a theater that's like the size of one of our movie theaters. It's a little tiny place off Broadway. So we did, that was New York, and we had a blast.
Yeah.
So then we check out of our hotel. We got our bags. We walked to Penn Station. We just, wheeling our suitcases. We went and bought hard-sided suitcases specifically because we knew we were going to be walking the streets of New York. Didn't want people banging into our bags. Bought these and we just cruised on down there.
Walking the Samsonite
down to Penn Station. Get on the train and head for Washington, D.C. Now, I went to D.C. last year with Chris Howard and Jerry Hemmingson. We were there like 32 hours.
Oh, wow.
We flew in, had a meeting, had meetings all day long, then left the next morning at 6 a.m.
Oh, man.
So it's like, there's that. Yeah, I don't have time to look at any of it. So we were there for 4 days. We got in there on a day, and we left on the last day. We hit every one of the Smithsonian's. We at least made it into, I think, all of them.
Wow, okay. Right. Are they all still just right around the plaza there, or is it do they spread out more now?
They're Sort of. But their idea of a plaza, this is not like the fountain back there behind Pacific Northwest Physical Therapy.
This is like several football fields, right?
Several football fields. Yeah, it's
the
like
National Plaza.
The National Plaza should be big, I guess.
And I loved it. You take the train, you took the Amtrak, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going right behind the Smithsonian, correct? Yeah, I remember that when I did that.
Yeah, so we get in there, and so we did, natural history, American history, the Space Museum, Air and Space. Probably one of the coolest things was the National Portrait Gallery.
Oh yeah. I don't remember ever seeing that. I don't think I ever.
Yeah, it's
I was a much
north
younger man.
of the mall. It's probably 10 or 12 blocks up north. That was very interesting. We didn't get to see all the things we wanted to, but we walked through and got to see all of the portraits of our presidents.
Oh, wow.
And
so does it start with the Washington one, the half done one?
Yeah.
The one Dolly Madison
there.
took out? Yeah.
And so they have, little narratives, some interesting thing about the president and about the artist who did the painting, which was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So you'll love this. So we get through this, and I got to JFK, and there was some.
Is it the one with his arms folded? It's not that one,
No,
right?
that's in the White House.
Okay.
Which we saw. Okay. We went to the White House. Donald wasn't there, but we went to the White House. Well, he may have been there, but he didn't come to see me. So I get to JFK, and it's some modern art thing. Kind of like a watercolor pastels.
Like sort of Matisse looking, sort of, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Wow.
But I'm looking at it, I'm like, really?
I got to Google that.
Really?
Keep going.
That's not what I wanted to see. Come on.
One of the somber tones.
Give me something better than that. But I'm living with it. So I go around and I see the portrait of LBJ and Nixon and a couple of pretty good ones of Reagan, which was kind of cool. And then I turn around and I see the portrait of Bill Clinton, and I'm thinking, well, if I have to choose, I'm going to go with the JFK. Because the Bill Clinton portrait in the National Gallery is the weirdest looking thing.
Was it that one? Is that the Kennedy one?
I think it's that one.
Ew.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's quite expressionistic.
But
I think
the Clinton one,
I got to find the Clinton one.
The Clinton one is, if you get up to it, it's a bunch of, it's something done with block art or something. I don't know what they call it, but it's like little pieces.
Is it that?
It's that.
Oh my God!
And then when you get it, when you zip it up close, those are all little blocks. And so when you get up close to it, it is the most unflattering.
Wow!
And it's huge. I mean, this thing is like 5 feet by 10 feet.
Oh my God!
It's massive.
Wow! Oh, I see. I see people standing in front of it like that. Oh my God!
Seriously.
Wow!
I mean, it didn't do Bill justice.
That's funny. Oh God!
And so now I'm sort of like, oh gosh, what an ending to this whole tour of the presidents. And I turn around, and all I can see is the back of a display, and I see a massive line of people. I mean, there's like 30 people waiting in line. I'm like, what are people waiting in line for? It's the Obama portrait.
With the leaves? This one?
With the leaves.
Oh my God.
And people are waiting in line to go up and have a selfie picture taken of themselves in front of the Obama portrait, which... whatever, float your boat, right? I'm just thinking, it never occurred to me to have a selfie with a portrait of a president, but obviously this was a big deal. Now, in all fairness, though, because my wife is African American, when we went to the Martin Luther King Memorial, she wanted, and I wanted her to have a picture in front of that memorial. So,
what's the MLK Memorial?
It's along by the tidal pool. It's across from the Jefferson Memorial, but on this side, it's around the corner, right around the corner from the new FDR Memorial and the Korean War Memorial.
I am not up on my memorials.
Oh man, the FDR Memorial, really impressive. The Martin Luther King Memorial, it's pretty impressive, and all along the wall are his quotes, the place that he gave them, and the date.
Oh, wow.
And man, just reading some of these statements,
it
just gives you chills.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow.
Is it this stone thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I have not known this one.
In fairness to the people who are standing in front of the Obama portrait wanting their picture taken, and we hadn't been to the MLK Memorial yet, I had to step back and go, okay, I was thinking, kind of making fun of these people. It's like, seriously, it's a painting. Why do you have to have your picture taken?
Check that, though, right?
I did.
Like,
I did.
Okay.
The FDR thing was pretty cool because there was an add-on a couple years after it was compiled. Did you ever hear about this?
No. Again, I was not aware there was an FDR one.
Americans with Disabilities filed a lawsuit against this because there was no depiction of FDR as a person who had a handicap.
He jealously tried to keep those depictions to a minimum,
which was part of the reason.
Yeah.
But an add-on was made, an addition was made to the monument of a bronze statue of FDR
in the wheelchair.
In his wheelchair.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that came after the fact, right?
It came after the fact. And standing there looking at that, you just looked at that, and for me, while again, knowing the backstory, I thought, well, that's, why do you have to push that? And then I had to again check myself. Shouldn't we celebrate something that he didn't want to show? Was it because of his own insecurity? Was it an embarrassment? Was it because he believed that he needed to be perceived as strong as the nation went through World War II? I don't know. Biographies have been written, and everybody has a different opinion about that. But as a person who tries to have a real world mindset, I have to say, once I saw the bronze statue of him in the wheelchair, I thought, you know what? that should be here.
Yeah. That's a powerful statement to make, even now after the fact. I think I remember there being, because he walked with crutches as well.
Yeah.
There's something like 4 seconds of film that exists of him. That's it. And it was, he didn't even know he was coming to a podium, and he's walking with the crutches on, and that's all there is, because he would not, that's why he's always sitting in the car when he's out and about. That's because he tried, and maybe that says that's the powerful statement, is that we as a society have come to this place now where we can actually put him in a wheelchair and a statue and celebrate it. Yeah,
and we should.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I would have said that until I had to stand in front of it and actually check myself and say, we ought to be able to celebrate a person's disabilities, because his ability to overcome those disabilities and show the level of strength that he did at a time of crisis in our nation says something about anybody's ability to overcome the adversities they face in life.
Yeah.
So while we had a great time, there was all kinds of moments like that were just like, wow, this is more than vacation. This is education. We went to Mount Vernon. We went to the White House. We went to Mount Vernon. If I was to say to somebody, you get to choose, you have to choose. You can either go in and take your White House tour, or you can go to Mount Vernon. You should go to Mount Vernon.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? I've done both. So why would you do that?
In the White House, you see such a limited portion of the White House now. I mean, you're in there and you're out in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
You see 4 rooms and you're out. In Mount Vernon, you have as much time as you need. The White House, while it's obviously a huge historical landmark, the White House as it is today is not the White House that was built. It's not even that White House that was rebuilt after the War of 1812. I mean, that building was completely gutted.
After World War II. It was
completely gutted during the Truman administration, all the way to the exterior walls. So regardless of what all the movies tell us about all these things that are in the White House, the reality is some of that is true, some of that
Abraham Lincoln's ghost is wandering the halls because he doesn't know where anything is anymore.
He does not. He cannot find it. He has no idea where his bedroom is. But Mount Vernon, I mean, that house it's still the same house.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a house that...
I remember the tiny doorways.
Yeah, his George Washington's uncle owned, and then he left, and he came back and bought it, and he added on to it. That was pretty impressive. But Mount Vernon was really, really a neat experience, because you felt like, even though there were things there that actually are reconstructions, replicas, like his grist mill, that's a rebuild. But
that's something like that.
But being able to see, the things they did, seeing the distillery and how they did those types of things, it's like this is history, and it's real.
Yeah, and you can find yourself in places. I had a similar experience in Monticello. You can find yourself like walking, you turn around, you're in a hallway. Say, I remember being in Monticello in this sort of outside hallway, a hallway that led to outside. And it was down and it was away, and it was a place where slaves would have been and where servants would have been. And I found myself alone.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, what year is it? This could be what it looked like 200 years ago. This could be, and you don't get that kind of situation.
You can't get that anywhere else in D.C.
No.
And Monticello is on our bucket list. We just did not have the time to make the trip out there, but that's on our bucket list of our next trip to the East Coast, is to do that. We want to go to places like Gettysburg. We want to go to Philadelphia. We've already started making a list. Now that we've figured out we can do this, we can travel, and that we can pack small suitcases and get on the train and just go.
That's neat. That's cool.
We had a blast. Taking selfies everywhere.
I was, because to me it became like a parade of pictures, because your wife's so much shorter than you are.
Yes,
where you would put something new, some new historical or cultural landmark
above my wife's head.
On your wife's head. Yeah.
That's like what are we sticking on Lene's head today? Yes, I know. I'm just like, I don't know how else to take this picture.
There's only one way for the two of you.
And you know what I discovered is people are very gracious and willing to take pictures of you. But a lot of people just suck at it.
Yeah.
You look at that and go, what were they taking a picture of?
I can do it better at the end of my arm.
I'm just going to go at the end of my arm.
So you did Mount Vernon, and Mount Vernon is beautiful. I remember the view from Mount Vernon. You're looking out over the Potomac there. Was that the end of the trip? Did you fly back after that? Do you have other stops?
Mount Vernon was the second to last day. We didn't leave until the evening of Monday. We were there Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So Rolling Thunder, this motorcycle parade happened on Memorial Day. Thousands and thousands of motorcycles. God. They started Arlington Cemetery, which we went to Arlington. That was the first stop we made. And they started Arlington. They come through the mall.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh. And it is Rolling Thunder. I mean, you just hear these Harleys coming. It was amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like, and I'm not a big parade guy.
Are you a motorcycle guy, though?
I like motorcycles. Yeah. My wife made me get rid of mine years ago, and I've never gotten another one.
Is that how that situation is always presented, too? My wife made me get rid of mine?
Yeah, that's sort of... but, we're together after 35 years, so some things work. Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Arlington was cool. Mm-hmm. So our last day, we had until probably 3 o'clock, and we had to get on the train. Again, we found flights out of Baltimore a lot cheaper than either out of Reagan or Dulles.
Yeah, okay.
We went back to Union Station. I think it's Union Station in D.C.
Okay, everything's Union Station.
So. Except for New York. That's Penn Station.
That's true.
And so we get on Amtrak, and it's like a 45-minute ride. It drops you off at a tram right in front of the airport.
Wow.
Easy.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to leave until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we went back to the American History Museum because there's some things that we hadn't seen there. It's the only one of the Smithsonian's we did twice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We went back there because they had a whole exhibition on transportation, cars and trains and locomotives and stuff like that. And we wanted to spend a little bit more time with the flag from Sumter.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
The Francis Scott Key exhibition with the Star Spangled Banner, looking at this flag and looking at all. The one thing about the Smithsonian's is you can't do them justice because you can't read all the stuff. Oh my gosh, everything has got 4,000 panels of text to read.
Yeah, everything probably has dissertations written on them, right?
And it's like, I can't read all this stuff. So it's the same thing with the exhibition in Air and Space Museum with the Wright brothers and the Flyer.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but there's this whole history, this whole storyline. It's like, how do you read all this stuff? So we went back. That's the only museum we went to twice. I would have never predicted that would be where we would go twice, was the American History Museum.
Wow, okay.
I might have thought that, the Natural History Museum, go get our picture taken with a woolly mammoth or something would be...
Why? Why would you assume? Why wouldn't...
Well, I don't know. I guess I just thought, I'm an American. I don't even know that stuff.
Then why did you go back the second time?
I went back the second time because I realized that there are so many things about our nation beyond just the history we learn in school. Just looking at things. They have Julia Child's Kitchen as part of this whole radio and television and the things that have happened. And you just look at that, it's like, wow, I can see that.
Yeah.
You look at some of the changes in the food industry and fast food and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, wow, I grew up through some of this stuff that's now part of a museum.
Yeah, that's an interesting
That's what drew me back.
Yeah, okay.
I'm looking at stuff in a museum
this
now
is my life.
that happened during my lifetime.
Yeah.
Either I'm getting old
or
because this is not the Modern History Museum.
Yeah.
This is the American History Museum, which means that there's things that took place in the 50s, 60s, and 70s that are now history.
Yeah.
And I knew that they were history, but they're now history. They're being memorialized in museums.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
That is, but it's the same. I mean, the first inkling of that sort of feeling that I get was from radio, and that, oh my God, I grew up in the 80s, right? Those are oldies now?
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. I see what you're saying.
So,
Archie Bunker's chair.
Yeah. We had it was an amazing trip.
That sounds like, it looked like an amazing trip. That's why I wanted to hear about it. It looked like it on Facebook.
Yeah, we had a blast.
I enjoyed following it. Did you ever put together the photo album?
No.
No, yeah.
No, they're all in a folder.
Yeah.
On the computer. That's as far as we get. So, yeah.
Oh man, Blake, we have talked for an hour. Is there anything that we haven't said that you'd like to say that you want to make sure gets out?
I don't know.
You don't know.
It's always fun to come and just talk. I guess that this will be for those who listen, and everybody ought to tune in. But
that's right.
I know they don't. Maybe you'll post it and people can listen to it later.
It will be online.
I guess I want people to realize that there's good things going on in our community, and that everybody can be a part of that. And we need an engaged public. We need people who want to be part of the good things that are going on. And I guess if you ask me about campaigning, if I had one campaign thing to say is I'm proud of the stuff that I've been a part of, and I believe that there's more stuff to do, and I think that I will give it my best.
All right.
And so, if it happens,
it's a campaign speech. Don't shrug at the end.
No. Vote for Blake.
Who's to say?
Vote for Blake. Yeah. No. Listen.
You can own that.
It's been it really has been an honor. And I look around, and let me tell you one last story.
Okay.
So I had a really good friend who passed away a few weeks ago and did his memorial service. Guy from our church. Guy that came into my office, 4 days out of the week, said, "Hey, what's going on? What do you need me to do?" kind of thing. And very, very well known in the community. Had a wonderful tribute for him at the rodeo. And so I'm in grocery outlet 2 days ago, looking at hamburger patties. Lady walks up beside me. She goes, which ones are how much? And I'm trying to help her figure out. And she goes, "What are you looking for them for?" And I said, trying to find some for our church picnic. She goes, "You're that guy. You did John Bohannon's memorial service." Oh, wow. I was there. And I said, I did. John was a good friend. And she goes, "That was amazing because it was so real." And Paul, that's the takeaway that I get from this community. Politics, religion, just being a guy. I want people to perceive me as a guy who's just real, who will say what he thinks, who will mean it, who doesn't mind stepping back when he's wrong. But you know what? When you have those little moments in a grocery outlet with a person who just says, "Hey, thanks for being real," it makes you want to be a part of this, even when you've got the nonsense that happens, even when people can be critical. But most of the people who are critical, they care too. And maybe they care in a different way than we do. But, thanks for humoring me for one more moment. But that's that's the good people that live in this community. And for me, I just consider it an honor to be able to interact with people like that and be as real as I can be. I'm not perfect, man. I have got a long ways to go, but there are some good things that are happening, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Wonderful. Well, we're glad you're a part of it as well. And I think if you are going to run on your laurels like that, you shouldn't have any trouble being and you want to be reelected, right? I absolutely do. Okay, that's the I absolutely think I no, I really do. I hope I get this another chance, I'd like to believe that if people will look at what we've done, they'll say, "Hey, he deserves another opportunity to keep us going in this direction." Okay. If it doesn't, maybe I can find a place here and do a little show. A little place you can do a little show. Do a little show. Yeah. But before we go, I know we've wrapped it up a couple of times now, but just looking back, that happens every time I meet. It's yeah. I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's you or me or just I know who I don't know. It's me. What are the things looking back over the past 4 years that you would want people to
remember come November? The things that you're proudest of in your tenure on the city council?
We've established our identity with the people we have in key places, and while it's recent, the fact that Eric Weir is now our city manager,
it's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and I'm not going to be critical of our previous city managers. That's not my point. My point is that we see somebody who has invested his life in this community, has now risen to this place of authority and prominence and leadership, and Eric's just a genuine good guy
and worthy of the job.
Absolutely.
And
we have
capable.
people throughout our staff that have accomplished those types of things. And so when I look at what I'm most proud of, most of that is the things that have been done by other people that I've been a part of. The partnership with Elk Valley we talked about before with the fire hall and the fire engine. I mean, initially it's like, man, do we get into this knowing that we're going to have to tap into an extra $250,000? Yeah, it's worth it. This is a good thing. The fact that we've been able to address some of our employee contracts and say we need to value our employees and get everybody at least close to where they should be of compensation. And those are hard things to do. You know, I'll step way outside of the box a year and a half ago and went and met with our entire employee staff and just said, hey, I'm for you guys. I'm going to do the best I can. I want you to know that you can trust the city council, that we have your best interests at heart. Was that my role? No, I shouldn't have been the labor negotiator. Did I believe that I should step in there and make sure our people know that we as a council believe in them? I did. There were those who probably said that you shouldn't have done that.
Really?
I did it anyway.
Yeah.
Because
why would that have been a bad idea?
Well, because councils shouldn't be seen as the negotiating parties. We've got people who do that, and we need to allow that process to work out. But you know what? I just had to. It's one of those. It's one of those.
These are the people you work with.
It's one of those Blake things where it's like I just had to do it because I wanted our employees to know that they were valued.
Yeah.
And I also wanted them to know that I couldn't do everything. We couldn't do everything, but that we were going to do the best that we could as a council. And I wanted them to know that. You look at the progress, even though it took us some time and we had some pitfalls along the way, we got the dog park built. Yeah. And people love that.
And the beach access, I mean, that's kind of coming along now, right?
And see, that was one of those things that predates my time on the council. It was actually a project that came when I was on the planning commission. So seeing people being able to have access down there, those are powerful images. And you look around, you see the partnerships that were built on doing the work on both Cooper, and I promise it'll stay open. No,
come on. Even as a man of God, you can't make that promise.
I can't do that. It'll stay open today. But we laugh about that. But the fact is this crisis that was created by this very ancient culvert that had failed to create what people started calling Lake Weir, which I thought was hilarious. But it provided an opportunity for us to build this partnership with the county and the road crew to be able to help us do this. And then that went so well. We did the same thing when we had to replace the big culvert over on Harding. I don't know that 4 years ago that the partnership type of dynamic between the city and the county might have happened.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think that the city and the county have always had the best of working relationships. I don't know that it's been necessarily adversarial, but I don't know that people have prioritized it, at least from the political side, that says we're going to build relationships, we're going to work together, we're one community. And I had an opportunity to build those relationships with county supervisors. I had an opportunity to build that with county staff so that they would know that, hey, I'm serious about this. We want to do this. I want to encourage our city staff to work with you as county staff, and we're going to get stuff done. And so I look back at that and I'm thinking we're getting things done where people said nothing ever happens here.
Good point. Yeah.
And it's not happening as fast as anybody would like, and it's not happening as fast as I'd like.
Sure.
But stuff is happening. And the idea, and we really will finish with this.
Okay, all right.
The idea that by 2020, Front Street might all be rebuilt. I would like to be in office to see that.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
I want to be in office to see City Hall. We didn't even talk about that. City Hall.
I know.
Into
I
the old
wanted
Bank
to
of
ask
America
you
building.
about that too. Yeah.
I want to be there to be able to see that. They've crafted out an office in City Hall for the council, which is what everybody laughs about, because that's the Blake room. So that when Blake comes to City Hall, because he's here like 4 or 5
That's
days
what
a
I've
week,
heard. I've heard you there answering phones and stuff. Yeah.
We've got a place where he can have a little desk, and we can make sure he's not creating too much trouble. And everybody, all the rest of the city council have their boxes, and everybody there. But we laugh about that. But the reality is I just want to know what's going on, because I feel responsible for that. I take ownership over all this stuff, and I know that I can't do most of it, but I have a part in it. And the only way I can do that is by asking lots and lots of questions. Fortunately, our staff are really fantastic about that. And they know that I'm not there to tell them how to do their job. They know that I'm there to find out, what is your job? What are you doing? How can I make sure that you have all the resources necessary to accomplish it?
Wonderful. Wow. Building bridges.
Absolutely.
Right on. And was that you calling me? Okay.
Rick White.
Rick White from Port-au-Prince.
Yeah.
We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about their fundraiser that's going on at Port-au-Prince right now for the victims of the car fire down in
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Really, it's
the
lots
idea of having multiple nights of music and really what I would consider to be a minimum amount of cover charge. People coming in there. Hey, listen, go into Port-au-Prince. I'll just give you this as a plug for Rick White getting ready to come up. Stop by Port-au-Prince for the next 4 nights. Pay your cover charge.
It's all of $5 for
$5. Buy one drink to support the business. And know that you are doing something to help somebody else.
That's right.
If I'm going to say that investing $12,000 to help people across the ocean is a good thing, and I believe it is, then I think that people throughout this community, even if you don't want to buy a drink, pay the cover charge and say, hey, I'm here to help somebody else. It's not about me. It's about a bigger world, and I sure thank Rick and Carol for their commitment.
Definitely. I love the tagline on the event on Facebook is "Let's show Reading what Crescent City can do for them."
Hey.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff we should be doing.
That is exactly it. Building more bridges.
All right, I'm going to get out of here.
All righty.
Rick,
thank you, Blake Inscore. Mayor Blake Inscore coming, sitting down, talking to us for a while.